I've been thinking about, what makes a good retreat. What is it that you want to focus on for a retreat? I would start off by focusing on four things. The one is your budget. How much are you prepared to spend on your retreat, and that's going to be linked to the duration of the retreat. So how much time are you spending away from your usual activities and your usual place of living? The next thing is to think about the location. Where do you want to go for your retreat? And the last one is to think about, what's your primary focus? What is the primary objective or the primary theme of what it is that you're trying to do? The other thing you want to do when you go on a retreat is you want to have some type of before and after assessment of some indicator of what you would consider to be a success. If your requirement is to Aramark Babblers are quite noisy. If your requirement on the retreat is to relax and to recover, then a good measurement of the success that you could use before and after, assess yourself before the time by scoring yourself out of 10 and decide, how restful and how relaxed do you feel? How stress-free do you feel? And then do the same assessment at the end of your retreat, and that way you can compare and see how much of a change there's been. Now, personally reflecting on my time that I've been out in South Africa, I came out to South Africa feeling incredibly stressed about several things. I also had some boxes. That was the other thing that I was planning to do on my retreat. I had some boxes that I needed to sort out at my mom's place, so I was feeling quite anxious about that. But having dealt with most of those boxes and being able to come out to see my dad and my stepmom and spend some time with them out here in nature, in the bushveld, I have just completely relaxed, completely unwound. I feel completely different to how I initially came out, to how I felt when I initially came out here. That assessment for me, I probably started with how relaxed am I feeling, probably somewhere around 3 at the beginning of the retreat, and at the moment it's sitting up around 8, 9. The other thing that you want to do is you want to have some clear intentions and objectives of what you'd like to achieve on your retreat. Otherwise you're going to walk away from the retreat thinking, that was a nice relaxing time, like a holiday, but I don't feel as though I've changed in any way. I don't feel as though I've achieved anything in any way. And so it's helpful to focus on specific intentions and objectives when you are going on a retreat. So for me, I wanted to rest and recover. I wanted to sort through my boxes, so I had a bit of personal administration that I needed to sort through. I also set myself the intention of clarifying the next area of my work focus. So I'm currently between jobs, and I need to think about what do I really want to do for my next role. It's very easy to fall back on what you know and do the same things that you've done in the past, but I felt as though my last role, I'd been in it for 10 years. I wasn't growing, I wasn't developing, I wasn't finding new opportunities to take on different forms of responsibility, and so I had stagnated quite significantly. My next role, I need to be more focused on what I want to do. The other thing that I wanted to do was, I have in the past and on this occasion have felt a little bit of a lack of confidence. Once you're not working and you are unsure about what's going to be happening in future, you might find that you are a little bit anxious about what you could potentially do, who would want your skills and expertise, whether you're going to be in demand in any way, and it's easy for that to translate into a bit of a drop in self-confidence. And so part of my exercise here was to reframe failures and to turn them into learning scripts, and also to define success. So I wanted to get a better understanding of what constitutes success in my career and in the work that I do, and what constitutes success in the relationships that I'm in. my personal, professional, and my friends. I've sat down with some writing and I've specifically listed things that I would consider how to interpret those areas of focus as a success. The other thing that I wanted to do was I wanted to recalibrate my personal compass. So this idea of recalibrating a personal compass is, you know, when we go through life, you get different opportunities that come your way, and some of those are good to take and chase, and other ones are better to say no to. And the only way that you can differentiate between what to say yes to and what to say no to have that ability to discern, is you need some type of compass, some internal value system that guides your choices. So I've got a whole program that I work through of different focus areas that I look at when I'm doing a compass recalibration exercise. And the thing that I found is that the thing you'll find as well, is that as you get older, as your career develops, you will find that your interests and your priorities start changing over time. And it's very easy to get stuck in one particular area and to find that so many things have changed and your interests have changed and your priorities have changed, and you get to a point where there's this big gap between where you were and where you want to be. And that is an alignment gap where your personal compass is not aligned with the things that are important to you. So the exercise then is to recalibrate your personal compass and to focus on various aspects and to think about what's really important in those different focus areas, so that you get a much better sense of what you want to prioritize and what types of decisions you want to make at the next point in time that you find that you're at a crossroads, or you have an option to evaluate. So in terms of activities on a retreat, activities that I would recommend are journaling. Journaling is one of the best ways just to process your thoughts, get your head around some ideas, and to evaluate things. In my case, I'm doing quite a bit of taking some video footage, and I'm busy editing those things. So I'm using the creation process around video and video editing to tell stories and to transfer ideas as one of the objectives that I'm focusing on during this retreat. The other thing that I've chosen to do on this retreat is to come do some game viewing. So I was an avid game viewer when I was young, and I knew all my animals without even having to look at a guidebook. And so the pleasure to me is being able to see something, identify it, and remember what type of animal it is, or to listen to the bird calls and to remember what type of bird makes that particular bird call. So at the moment, if I look across the bank, there are quite a lot of impala sitting across the bank over there. At the back there is a waterbuck, and up on the top I spotted some black things moving around, which I thought, given the size and the colour, they must be ground hornbills. And when I took the binoculars out to check that, it was in fact a ground hornbill. Apparently they're quite rare, and there's a site that helps with the protection of ground hornbills, and they have a form that you can fill in if you had a sighting, so that you can submit data for them to use in part of their research. So I submitted my form earlier this morning. They're beautiful birds. They're quite large, very big hornbills, and the males have got these massive red things around their throat, which is just absolutely glorious. That contrast between red and black is beautiful. We were in the Kruger National Park yesterday, and there was a group of impalas and zebras, and running through the middle of them was this little black-backed jackal. Black-backed jackal.
Oh, yes,
So that was lovely. Anyway, so game viewing is one of the activities that I've decided I wanted to do on this retreat. The other thing to do when you're doing a retreat is to set yourself. You can use specific focus areas as a way to spend your time. So Some of the focus areas that I recommend are doing reflection. That's where you reflect on things that have happened in the past, experiences that you've had, maybe reflecting on things where you feel there's some degree of failure, or you feel as though there's a bit of a lack of confidence in a particular area. The other thing to do is something I call contemplation. So this is where you think about something specific and you try and gather your thoughts around it. So one of the focus areas I had was self-confidence. I asked myself the question, what is it that knocks my self-confidence? I find that my self-confidence has gone through ups and downs over the years. At the moment, it's lower than it normally is. And part of my questioning was, okay, so what are the types of things that knock my self-confidence? And the other part of that question is, what are the types of things that build my self-confidence? So what should I be focusing on to make sure that I can grow my self-confidence? So this is something that I've used as a focal point as part of my contemplation on this trip. The other thing to do is, and this is really super important, is to focus on your well-being. So it's very easy when you're in a normal work environment or a home environment to neglect your health and to forget about your well-being. So when you take time out on a retreat, this is a really good opportunity to focus very clearly on what is it that makes you feel better, what improves your well-being. And to me, there are 4 pillars of health. The one is your diet and what you're eating, and being mindful about what you're eating and putting some effort and some thought into your diet, especially when you're out on a retreat. The other part is exercise, so getting walks. Different people like having different types of exercise. I prefer running, so for me it's easy just to go out for a run. I can do that anywhere that I'm traveling. Some people prefer swimming, for example, walking, brisk walking, cycling, whatever it is that you find is an easy form of exercise for you. You should focus on that being your form of exercise. The third pillar is rest. So giving yourself enough rest, paying attention to your sleeping patterns, getting enough sleep, making sure that the quality of your sleep is good. I have a routine where, and I've built this up over quite a few years, where I go to sleep at 10 o'clock in the evening and I wake up at 5 o'clock in the evening. And since I'm no longer traveling and doing a lot of international trips with my work, I've managed to really hone in on that routine. I get a regular 7 hours of sleep a night. So much so that if I go to sleep slightly early in the evening, I'll even wake up before my alarm the next morning. And the 4th pillar of health as part of your well-being focus area is mental health. Mental health is really important. It's all about making conscientious choices about what you think about. And part of that exercise is using conditioning exercises to condition yourself to think positively, to think about things which are healthy and good for you and which don't give you stress and which don't get you upset. There are a few things that I do, stepping through a list of gratitude. What am I grateful for every day? What are my positive affirmations, things that I want to believe, like believing that I live in a world of abundance, that I can overcome obstacles, that I'm resourceful. Yeah, so that's the 4th pillar of health, which is part of my well-being focus area. The other thing that is really important is what I call joy. It's so easy to get into a work routine and constantly be chasing down schedules and plans and routines and knocking off things off your to-do list, but not necessarily taking time out to just enjoy what you do. Enjoy things. What is it that you really love spending time doing? And give yourself dedicated time to do those things, especially on your retreats. So on this retreat, game viewing is one of my top things. So I've spent quite a bit of time game viewing. We're living in a residential area that's got Marloth Park, which has got quite a lot of game and a natural environment around it. And so I can just sit on the porch and watch the impalas walk past, see the kudus walk past. We went for a drive where we saw zebras, giraffe. It's just absolutely amazing. On the first day that I arrived here, I came down, looked across the fence, and there was an elephant right here. So I went and grabbed my camera, And then I followed the elephant along the fence line for probably half a kilometer. So yeah, think about what types of things give you joy and dedicate some time to doing that. So the other things that give me joy are outdoor activities. So I enjoy doing mountain biking, I enjoy snorkeling, I enjoy mountain climbing, I enjoy hiking in the hills or the mountains. Is that an impala snort? It is. I think he's seen me and he's trying to warn that something's not right down on his path where he wants to walk. He'll be okay. So yeah, those outdoor activities are things that I really enjoy, and they are things that I would prioritize. In fact, I'm thinking of setting up some retreats where I specifically go and I make it a theme retreat, like a snorkeling trip. And then what I will do is I'll have morning sessions where I do journaling, think about questions, think about the recalibration, compass recalibration exercises. And then they're really upset. And then you guys are noisy. Yes, it's me. I'm not a lion. I'm not going to eat you. Don't worry. Okay, so you do those exercises in the morning, and then in the afternoon you do the outdoor activity like the snorkeling. Oh, poor impalas. Maybe I should keep quiet and let them come past. Okay, the last thing I recommend on a retreat is that you should have a support bubble in place. First of all, if you're leaving your home environment or your work environment to go on a retreat, somebody needs to make sure that everything's still ticking over back at home or at work. So you need to have that cover in place. The next thing to do is to have people that you can talk to. If you've got ideas about what you'd like to do, or you want to talk about what gives you self-confidence or what breaks self-confidence, then having some friends and family and people that are close to you that you can talk to and discuss these types of things just helps you get out of your own mind, that trap of only thinking your thoughts, and being able to get a broader perspective. So that's definitely something I recommend. So let's do a summary of all the things that you should do when you are going on a retreat. You should select your location, decide on the duration of time that you want to spend on your retreat, think about the budget that you're prepared to spend on it, and then think about the objectives or the intentions that you want to focus on, and specifically think about maybe having a theme. The next thing you want to do on a retreat is that you want to do an assessment, like a before and after assessment of what you consider to be a successful retreat. So you need to think of the metrics that you want to use, how you would measure the success of your retreat. Some generic focus areas that you can focus on while you're on a retreat is you can do some reflection work, you can do some contemplation, you can educate yourself, do some training or reading, maybe read a book. You can focus on your well-being, and you can also focus on things that give you joy. What types of activities do you enjoy doing? The other thing you want to do is you want to have a support bubble in place where there are people that can cover for you at home and at work, so that those responsibilities are still looked after while you're away on the retreat. But while you're on your retreat, you also want to have people that you can talk to. Right, so I hope you found that useful. If you would like to plan a retreat and you need my help, please get in touch. Alternatively, if you'd like to join me on one of my retreats, then sign up on the waiting list. I'll put a link under this video, and we'll talk about how to make that happen. Keep well. Bye-bye.